Hi there, Malcolm here with my 363rd Booktube video, and today I'll be bringing you my fourth entry in the Why I Read Science Fiction series, this time on Adrian Tchaikovsky. Now, sensibly I read science fiction because it encompasses all genres, and that I can do crime thriller just as good as standard crime thriller, such as Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, also known as Blade Runner, horror, such as Alien, westerns, such as Firefly, fantasy, such as Star Wars, and most of which can weirdly fit under contemporary because the issues that the characters, robots, aliens deal with are very much a reflection on what is going on today. And interestingly enough, I am reading Foundation, Isaac Asimov, to my wife at the moment, and the psychohistory in that is very relevant to today, even though this was written back in the 50s. And growing up, I read many science fiction stories by many science fiction authors, ostensibly by Harry Houghton and Bob Shaw, and more recently Alistair Reynolds, which are the first three videos I did in this series, so I'll link to those down below. Be sure to go and check out those. But one of the more recent science fiction authors I've encountered and embraced is Adrian Tchaikovsky, British author who is possibly better known for his fantasy. He's written a lot in fantasy, but I know him best for his science fiction. And indeed, if science fiction is something you're curious about and want to try and get into, you can't go wrong with trying his Children of Time, which won the Arthur C. Clarke Award. This is the first of what was originally a trilogy, but a fourth one's now coming out, that deals in the far future after the collapse of the human expansion into space, and humans are once again expanding into space, rediscovering planets that had been terraformed for them to come and live on, only to find that things aren't quite how they were supposed to be. And so far in the series, each book features another planet with another thing that's gone differently. Not necessarily wrong, but not gone to plan. And the humans who arrive there expecting to find paradise find something very, very different. I'll say books 2 and 3 are a little harder to get through if you're not used to science fiction, but Children of Time is a very easy read. Do not be put off by the thickness. I've done an overall review for this trilogy. I'll leave a link to that below, but it's a really good starting point. Another great trilogy is the Final Architecture trilogy, starting with Shards of Earth, where great moon-sized things have turned up, destroyed the Earth, and humanity is living on the various planets and settlements in space that they'd already had at the time. And ostensibly we have a Firefly-style story following a crew of a ship just trying to get through the day-to-day. These things haven't been seen for about 50 years, but there's rumours of their return. And so there's conspiracy, there's intrigue, and a potential devastating re-emergence of an unstoppable thing. This one is told over a trilogy, but the first one, again, is quite easy to read with very likeable characters. And unlike with Children of Time, where you can just read the first one and be happy with that, this one you do need to read 2 and 3 to complete the tale. And arguably, the story does kind of wane a little bit as you get through it. I again have done a review for this trilogy. I'll leave a link to that below. I really enjoyed it personally, but I understand why others did struggle with book 2 particularly, and then 3 didn't always pay off for a lot of people. It did for me. I thought it was great, but that was for me. But another really great trilogy. And another great trilogy is his Dogs of War trilogy, which deals with biomechanical constructed creatures built for war. And the first book, Dogs of War, follows a squad of a war dog, a hive mind of bees, a reptilian sniper, and a bear cyborg thing who work for a despicable human, break free of their control, and the possibilities are opened up for them quite exponentially. And this is followed up with Bearhead, set on the colony on Mars, deals with a completely different angle of the story. And then the trilogy is tied up so far with Beast Speaker, which is set on a post-apocalyptic Earth as a result of what happened in the first 2 books. So it's a trilogy at the moment. There is potentially scope for more, and I'll leave a link to the reviews I've done for those in the description box down below. If you don't like trilogies, he has done some standalones. So Shroud, I think, came out in 2025 and has a slight horror aspect to it. It's not the main drive, and if you go into it expecting a proper horror story, you might be a bit disappointed. But this one is set on a planet that is enshrouded in darkness due to the atmosphere, and we follow 2 hapless humans who crash land on it and are just trying to survive with the creatures and get to an escape point in this total darkness in a very alien environment. And every now and again you do get the point of view of the creatures. And I'll leave a link to my review for that one below. It was absolutely excellent. Again, an easy read and not too heavy with the science fiction babble. It's essentially a survival story in a very hostile environment. And what's great is there is a resolution that happens about 2/3 of the way through the book, and then the last third, things are switched up quite considerably. Excellent stuff. Another great standalone is Alien Clay, where we go to a prison planet where we follow a political prisoner who is sent there and is experiencing life on this planet. And this planet is full of weird, crazy life. And they're trying to work out what's going on there, and what actually is going on there is a lot deeper than first it meets the eye. The main character I found was really likeable, and the story flowed really well. And again, the ending was pretty interesting. And if you want a nice short one, Saturation Point. This one is set on Earth, and it's quite reminiscent of Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer or Eden by Tim Leben, where basically there are zones of rainforest that have grown back extremely successfully, so much so that it's actually hostile to human life. And of course, contingent of humans go to this hostile territory to find out what's going on, why is this place so special. And it's called Saturation Point because the place is so hot and humid that maintaining your body temperature becomes impossible, because when you sweat, the sweat evaporates to cool down the body. The sweat has nowhere to evaporate to because the air is already so saturated with water, it just sits there, and so you start cooking in your own sweat. I found it okay. I think a little derivative of Annihilation and Eden, with some interesting choices, which is another way of saying it didn't go the way I hoped it to, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And then a completely different standalone is Service Model. This one is set on Earth, and this one follows robots, or in particular a robot butler who one morning just randomly murders its master, as you do. And so there's a mystery going on there as this robot goes out into the big wide world to find that the big wide world isn't what it's supposed to be, and yet it has to follow its programming to the letter, only to find that when it gets to the destinations where it's supposed to go, that things aren't in place for it to complete its programming. A really interesting tale where the main character really, arguably, doesn't really have their own agency. And is a surprisingly funny tale due to the weird situations and scenarios it's faced with, where the robot police turn up and the robot doctors turn up, and there's misunderstandings as they go through their programming routines, and it's very clear that whoever programmed these things hadn't taken certain situations into account, which is why the things play out the way they do. Absolutely great stuff, and weirdly doesn't feel like anything else that Adrian Tchaikovsky has written. It's a really good, unique thing. Of course, I haven't read everything by him. I have The Doors of Eden sitting by my bed, ready to go. I'd actually forgotten I had this. This one looks to be a standalone, and it says, "They thought they were safe. They were wrong. 4 years ago, 2 girls went to find mythical creatures on Bodmin Moor. Only one came back. Lee thought she'd lost Mal forever, yet now she's miraculously returned. But what really happened on the moors?" MI5's Julian Sebra is investigating an attack on top physicist K. Amal Khan. This leads Julian to clash with agents of an unknown power, who may or may not be human. But his clue is grainy footage, showing a woman who supposedly died on Bodmin Moor. Dr. Khan's research has revealed cracks between our world and parallel Earths. Now these are widening, revealing extraordinary creatures, and as the doors crash open, anything can come through. Sounds really cool. I instantly jumped to the Long Earth series by Stephen Baxter and Terry Pratchett, which also deals with parallel Earths. Having just read the blurb, I'm quite excited to read this one. Picked it up at the charity shop a couple of months ago. That's going to be read quite soon, I think. However, for what my book of the month for the second month of the year has already been designated The Children of Strife, which is the 4th book of the Children of Time series. This is the ARC copy of this. The general release one will be this lovely teal colour, due out 12th of March 2026. Also the back claims. So really excited to see where this tale goes on from here. And I can't read any of the blurb because of spoilers for the first 3 books. And as I said earlier, this is an interesting series that you don't have to read every single book. You have to read them in order if you do, but you can just read the first one and stop there, or you can just read the second one and stop there. The story is completely self-contained at the end of each book. There's no cliffhanger, there's no unresolved thing. It's just, and then this happens, and then this is the next adventure. This is the next planet. And at 670 pages, it's a pretty massive book. So I might read that one in March. So I believe I've covered all his science fiction so far. This is January 2026. And this guy's churning books out like there's no tomorrow. So I'm sure there may well be more stuff soon. And like I said, if you're curious about starting science fiction, Adrian Tchaikovsky is a pretty good place to start. His books are very readable, even if some of them are a bit beefy. And he seems to cover a wide range of themes, from robotics to environmentalism, survival, a bit of horror, adventure, discovery, and humans being humans. even if they're dogs or bees. So there you go. That's why I read Adrian Tchaikovsky's science fiction entries. I'm actually quite impressed with all that I mentioned. These are only 2 I'm yet to read. That's not bad going. And when I'll leave a link to my later reviews for these books in the description box down below as well. So at some point, everything will be in there. All my thoughts on it anyway. So what's your favourite Adrian Tchaikovsky science fiction story? Or fantasy one? I've not had much luck with it so far. I've just finished Made Things, which I did quite enjoy. I'm in year 3 of listening to City of Last Chances. Nearly finished it by having a Scooby-Doo what's going on. Or who's your science fiction author of choice? I've read a good range of science fiction authors, but I haven't read them all. And for some of the well-known authors, I haven't read that many books they've done, which is interesting. Yeah, so comment down below, please. But as usual, if you've nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and other YouTube things if you want. And until next time, see you later.